Hi everyone, hope you all are doing well. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome you all to the roundtable discussion on digital commerce designed for personalization and experience. In 2020, there were more than 7.1 million e-commerce websites. And 2021, during pandemic, it all exploded and we clocked upwards of $4.9 trillion across the world on e-commerce alone, right? And various forms of e-commerce. And this is only going to increase, right? Especially with whatever we see of the trend, it's only going to increase. For each brand or e-commerce business, a critical measure of success will be a hyper-personalized and a seamless experience, as we all know, across all the touch points of consumer journey and across all the channels. Anecdotally, there are 9 channels now that an average customer uses. And what do? They do expect a personalized recommendation and experiences tailored to them, to each individual, right? They want an augmented reality that can approximate what glasses will look like on their face, or what a dress will look like on them, or what a sofa will look like on the real room. They want robust search that can help them find what they're looking for and also can help them find what they're not looking for. And I'm sure all of us who do online shopping do fall for that. The customers who receive a personalized experience according to the data are 44% more likely to become repeat customers. And 9 out of 10 consumers say that they want an omni-channel experience that is seamless between the channels. With all this and a hyper-competitive ecosystem, the brands are increasingly investing in technologies, data insights, and hyper-personalized content for seamless experiences across all channels. The brands are keen to understand the customer better, layer their personas, identify their pain points and preferences, aid in creating personalized solutions and services, and create relevant content for each stage of the funnel. But I'm sure we all know that already. So today, for an enriching conversation on how the brands are really doing it on the road and adopting to experience-led commerce along with the new age technologies, we have with us today a very esteemed panel. Please join me in welcoming Tarun Jha, Head of Marketing and Product at Skoda India.
Hello.
Sandeep Valunj, CMO Nippon India Mutual Fund.
Hello.
Raja Varatharaju, Head of Business Personal Care at Kavin Care.
Hello everybody.
Vanda Farrow, Head of Marketing Fresh to Home.
Hello, everybody.
Amit Setia, Head of Marketing Siska Group.
Hello, everyone.
Saurabh Sharma, Solution Architect and Consultant at Adobe Commerce.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, panel, for joining us. So let's get started right into the conversation, right? So let's start with Tarun. Tarun, to adopt to customer reality and amplify customer experience, Skoda India teamed up with Flipkart, if I'm correct, to create a standalone high visibility channel to allow customers to book the car and book the test drive through Flipkart app. That was a very innovative step by any automaker to kind of get onto a Flipkart. How do you think it helped, and what initiatives did you have in place to accelerate conversions while decreasing the fallout?
So it's a very interesting question, and you said that in your introduction itself. The last 2 years have been very seminal in the way we do our business and the way we changed our business. And you mentioned how e-commerce has become a very massive thing. It was also perpetuated by the fact that people couldn't step out of their homes. So they got into the habit of ordering everything online and basically not stepping into a showroom or a shop. And that is the problem that we were facing 2 years ago. So we did a lot of initiatives on that. Now, why Flipkart specifically? Because you see, from a niche brand that we've been in India for almost 2 decades, ever since the launch of the Kushat last year, we become a more volume player. And we launched the Slavia last month. Now, the audiences have changed. We have also expanded our network from about 65 outlets about a year and a half back to 153 as of today across the country. Now, we have to reach more and more people, especially a lot of people who do not know the brand at all. So why Flipkart? Because it has a massive user base. So the first thing, and it was a twin-pronged approach, the first thing that Flipkart affords us is visibility itself. because it's a huge platform. The second thing is that we are also opening a new touch point for our customers, because we've been doing that for the last 2 years, making our customers' lives easier, opening more and more touch points for them so that they can approach the brand and I can introduce myself to them. And that is the reason why, Flipkart. It's been working well for us. It's not even been a month, but the kind of traction that we're getting, the kind of views that we're getting, the number of people visiting it, and also requesting for test drives and bookings has been very, very encouraging. And it was, an experiment and also a risk, because nobody has tried that before. It was an industry first initiative. But all in all, I think that it has worked for us and we're very happy with the results that we're getting. Because when, and like you asked us, how do we measure whether it's been successful? And when you are in a shopping environment, when you are in a mood for shopping, and that's what you do when you go to Flipkart, that's the time when I introduce myself as a brand and my products. If you have a latent desire to change your car, upgrade your car, buy a new car and all that, I just want to introduce myself and leave a thought that I'm around. And if you're deeply interested, I also have content which tells you about my cars. It has video. I have, reasons to buy of the car. So, and the entry point is not too large in the sense that you can book a car for a rather small amount. In fact, I know the kind of money people spend on Flipkart, for instance, when you buy a smartphone, you can actually book my car for a lesser amount. So that's how it works for me.
Thank you, Tarun. No, it is indeed interesting because, that is brand going to the consumers, which is what the consumers want of today, right? So moving on to Sandeep. Sandeep, for Nippon Mutual Fund, right, in terms of experience-driven, commerce and for a consistent commerce across, for an industry such as yours, which relies heavily on agents and aggregators, you launched a conversion commerce. And I think there were thousands of downloads, just like, when the conversion commerce went live. So with this, how did you ensure a consistent experience across all channels, right? Because that is one of the important paradigm that we use for defining experience, right? So what did you do, to use conversational commerce? Do you think that, it went direct sales, or do you think it is still through platforms, aggregators? Like, how did you go about it? And how did you use technology to help with that?
No, absolutely. So, as you can imagine, investing in India is still a prescription product. I mean, you need a pharmacist between the doctor and the patient. And therefore, the distributors become extremely important, not only for the last mile connect, but also for us to be able to explain the products properly, right? Most of these distributors may not be very highly qualified, especially in the lower end of the market. So it becomes very, very important that you personalize the content so the distributor feels that he or she is taking that message forward, but the message is very carefully crafted and very true to what you want to stand as a brand, as well as the accuracy of the technical information, because it's just technical product. So there are three components to that. One is how do you personalize the distributor messaging? So the message is common, but then you layer the distributor's brand on it. And then there are multiple ways of doing that. There are quite a lot of technology tools available today, where a distributor, while talking to an investor or potential investor, could go into his WhatsApp, access my library, send out the stuff, but while sending, it gets branded with that person's, kind of a branding, the way you have Deloitte branding behind you. That's the piece. And we have tools to brand documents, videos. We also have digital cards, etc., being sent out at the touch of a button, right? So that is one way of doing that. The second one is that, especially after the lockdown and the pandemic related changes in consumer behavior, quite a lot of investors have started coming to our assets directly, right? So there's no middleman in between. We are talking to the investor or a potential investor one-on-one. Now that's much easier to do because you are in a control environment. It is happening on your digital asset. And if the person has logged in, you know everything about the person. If he's not logged in, also there are quite a lot of tools. Adobe has, Experience Manager and Target and stuff, which can help you do a far better job of personalizing, things for them. Then these days, pretty advanced CDP, customer data platforms, are available, which can pull in data from all sorts of sources, layer the social profiling on it. And then I know that, for example, to Karishma, I need to, probably speak in a particular fashion. And to Raja, I probably need to change, my differently. So personalization happens very, very easily on the people who come to us directly. And the third part is, at the industry level. So far we were talking about the 2.5% people in India who have started investing in mutual funds, but there are 97.5%. Yeah, and I'm right. 97.5% people who don't invest in mutual fund. They haven't yet gathered the courage, to actually start doing something to grow their money. Yeah. So what do we do for them, right? So there again, conversational commerce is coming, and again, pandemic has been a great stepping stone for us. The people's ability to experiment with some of these things has allowed us to put in a conversation, voice and chat both project in place where an investor could get in touch with that bot and ask whatever questions he or she may have about mutual funds that he or she may feel a little hesitant to ask a person. And the answers are given. We could actually show, a scenario of if you had invested in this fund in 2005, in the last, 17 years, how have your investment been, so on and so forth. We can explain the volatility of our products using past data. So quite a lot of visualization, can be done across on this platform. And then again, we know whom we are talking to. We can store those sessions. We can remarket them, and make sure that they understand mutual funds, they understand goal-based investing, they understand their risk profile, they know their model portfolio, and then we get them in touch with the nearest distributor if they wish to go via a distributor. So if you're calling from Connaught Place, New Delhi, I will tell you that here are the 10 registered mutual fund distributors who are near your PIN code, so please get in touch with them, and so on and so forth. So there are multiple things that technology allows us to personalize information when it comes to investing, because and personalization becomes extremely important here because it's somebody's money that you're talking about. It's very dear to them. So yeah, that's the long and short. Thank you, Adobe, again for having some amazing tools there, which help you track both the logged-in investors as well as the non-logged-in investors.
And everybody goals are different. So no, very well said. So yes, and the use, the availability of tools and technologies, and very soon, hopefully, metaverse and fintech too, right? So moving on from such a regulated industries to what we call FMEG, Amit, right? And that's the word I learned from you, Amit, FMEG. For an industry such as yours, Amit, with equal play of B2B, B2C, channel, network distribution, how do you see the commerce adoption changing? And what is it that we can expect in the coming years from an industry such as yours, from your point of view?
So as rightly said by you, Karishma, this is FMEG because I ensure that across all my discussions, I bring in this topic because it also helps my stakeholder to approach the brand with the right strategy, because typically they have a mindset of FMCG, which is high frequency, to FMCD, which is high engagement. But this category beautifully sits exactly in between somewhere, wherein you don't have much of the frequency because you will not go and buy bulbs every now and then, or it will also not attract a lot of organic engagement, which means today across all your homes, you don't even know how many sockets are there, what all wattages are being used in terms of sockets, bulbs, etc. Yes, Karishma, you can try, but it won't help you. So I think that's where the fundamentals are in terms of this category, which is FMEG. And hence the strategy that you adopt for the commerce side of the business is very different actually, but I can say that last couple of months or rather years, I think, have been very, very promising because while we spoke about contactless delivery, shopping, maybe payment, why not contactless lighting as well, right? I think that's where people started becoming very comfortable and confident about this category. While it is a little premium in terms of the MRP, but it does bring to you a lot of comfort and convenience, right? And because now more and more people are spending, a lot more time at home, I think, that's something which people started buying in huge quantities actually. So the contribution, which was maybe some single digit 4 years back, today it has spiked by more than 100%, I think. So I think that's a clear reflection of, is your customer ready to actually come on your platform and in fact buy that product, right? Which is, I mentioned, which is costly. It's not so sort of in the regular range. And not only that, in fact, when you look at handling your lights with the help of your smart home app, that's also an opportunity for the brand to upscale and upsell and cross-sell the other smart home IoTized products, which is also very, very promising. So I think these are couple of those examples which are a big evidence of the fact that not only you are ready in terms of the technological advancements, but also the customer is ready to shell out that kind of money. In the near future, I think I can say that yes, I think you can expect faster deliveries and availability of enhanced product portfolio for both the B2B and B2C customers. So example, we are putting things together for all the online buyers who actually buy the product from our platform to get faster deliveries, because we are trying to now tie their order with the local retail outlets, so that they are also empowered in terms of business, right? So that's one part of it. Second is we have exclusive outlets within the brand, which are Siska lounges. And not only they are catering to retail orders, but they're also a very beautiful avenue for the project leads also, because this category is very complex. You have more than 700 or 800 SKUs. So it becomes practically, difficult to display all the products and more so for the B2B category. So the idea here is to scale up the, the product platform so that they can experience the products, whichever is available at the lounge, and then book it, from the company warehouse directly. So I think these are some of those examples, wherein technology is actually playing a huge role in priming up the business for the brand.
Thank you so much. And no, I agree with you. I think while challenging, but very interesting, innovation needs to come through channels which you don't expect, right? So on point. So moving on from FMEG to FMCG, Raja, right? So we did see that, besides like in the last 2 years, Kevin Care also went direct to consumers, besides leveraging all other channels, right? And one of the things when we talk about the experience-based commerce, one of the very important thing which we lightly touched upon by some of the panelists is that the data strategy, right? So with D2C and using all other channels, Raja, what do you think at Kevin Care is your data strategy? If you could talk about it to derive customer as well as commerce intelligence, right? Basically, how are you integrating the data? How are you getting the data? And are you able to identify any actionable insights that can help people think through like what we are doing at Kevin Care for our, the experience-based commerce? How are you using the technology to derive that?
Right. So to get back to the data strategy part of it, what we do is that we have our own website, which is basically to understand the consumer behavior. What is the consumer expectation from an online purchase, and that too from a brand which is used to buying in offline, right? So that is the dimension it serves. It's more learning experience we do through that rather than building business over it. But for us, the main chunk comes from the platform selling, right? Which is Amazon, Flipkart, Nykaa. These kind of platforms. How do we compete with the new age companies? How do we become faster, and how do we establish a brand which is good? So there, for us, the data strategy is two-pronged, right? One is the existing brands, how do we make the existing brand relevant to the channel? Consumer, we have always been relevant, that's why we've been doing well. But that consumer coming through the channel, there is channel dynamics, new channel dynamics. So how do we come to that, play through the channel dynamics is something which is critical. And so there are various ways and means we address that. Using the same brand, how do we make it channel relevant? Then comes with another leg, which is basically can we create a brand which is specifically only for e-commerce? which plays with the on par game with any of the e-commerce brand. That's why you would have seen that we launched a brand called Personalization, right? So that brand is nature inspired. It's fresh to garden to fresh cosmetics kind of feel is what that brand is about. So that brand, the way then that to develop the brand, the entire data comes from the online consumers only, right? There are tools where we mine insights from which are all the benefits which the consumer is looking for, which are all the trending ingredients which the consumer is looking for, which are all the trending world trends which the consumer want us to bring from from some other part of the world to India, because these consumers are not consumers only in a specific geography. They are a global consumer, right? He or she browses through whichever website that's there online, and because of their interest group, the search engine keeps pushing products from across the globe to them. So these are the data points that enables us to launch a particular brand, and then from there we scale it up. So from a data requirement, one is about consumer insights as to which translates into product. Then there is a consumer insight which helps us to influence the shopping behavior. What is she buying? She buying shampoo, or she's buying a shampoo plus another makeup product. She's buying shampoo plus probably some other grocery product. What is the product which she's buying? Which normally is advised by agencies. It is advised by the carriers, distributors who work with us. We also list it directly. From that we get data, and then we use these data to market business. That's how it works.
Thanks a lot, Radha. I think that was quite insightful. And then moving on to similar question for you, Vanda, right? It is very disruptive industry, and what you did, right? Like pre-pandemic, 95% of the people, at least I knew, would consider buying offline after speculating the meat quality, hygiene, etc. Right? Now, pandemic transitioned the whole industry and made people consider online as a serious option. And obviously, first because of the lockdowns, and then later on because of the convenience, right? How did you go about providing the total experience to the customers? What shifts did you make, right? And how did you even think of, pack to pan for the consumer and the experience? So really, how did you provided the total experience, and what was the use of technology in that?
Thank you, Karishma, for having me on this panel, and really relevant question, because you did touch upon experience. And as a D2C player, right, experience and personalization, I think we are better poised because we own the data. First party data actually rests with us. So I think this is a pertinent question to answer. So Fresh to Home is the world's largest vertically integrated meat and seafood company. So elaborating on the complexity, I can say that we do nearly 3 million orders every month. We do an order, more than one order per second. We have 4,000 SKUs.
Wow.
And, and meat and seafood is very, very personal to us, right? How a Bengali likes his curry mean, likes his rohu, to a Malayali for curry mean. It's very, very different. It's vast. The names we call our fish and meat is so different. So in this entire complexity, how do you build a personalized experience is very, very important. So Karishma, yes, the pandemic actually brought a huge velocity of people onto our platforms. But if you ask me, the triggers and barriers were always there. But how we successfully address this helped us to, get better bang for the buck with every pandemic wave when actually consumers came to us. So I'll just break this question into two parts.
Mm-hmm.
The first is about, how did we understand the consumer? If you understand the consumer, you really know then how to offer the consumer, right? And a lot of our SKUs which we have are because the kind of fish, the kind of meat, the kind of cuts which you actually have to give people is so huge. So while we have first party data, right, we know because everyone transacts on our platform. So we know the consumer, we know which cohort he belongs to, the affinity type, etc. So we are better poised to offer him options. So what we realized also basis syndicated research was there's no stated dissonance in this category. You said 95% of the categories are unorganized, yes, but there is no challenge for consumers to actually move from their existing purchase behavior. So what we did over time was also overcome these barriers. The biggest barrier was trust. So what we did is build that trust by showing certification, showing our factories, using a lot of channels, right? CRM, using WhatsApp, SMS and PMs to actually build that credibility. After that, what we did is also we worked on a lot of claims, right? Money back guarantee. We said, if you don't like the quality, we'll take it back. All this actually helped those people who are coming there, right, to make that transaction. Then what else we did was we used a lot of CRM channels. And I think currently WhatsApp is really coming up as a very important channel for us to reach consumers, to interact with them, and even in terms of messaging. So we did all this to be able to communicate to consumers that we have a wide range assortment, we are fresh, not frozen, we have no chemicals, etc. So this built the entire branding and worked on the barriers. After that, what we did is we really worked very, very strongly on the conversions. Once you understand your consumer, because you have first party data, you map it, also juxtapose it with third party data, and then you have a better understanding of different cohorts. You understand, for example, there is a cohort of early jobbers in the age group of 25 to 30 who live away from home, who actually, you know, are open to try new snacks, etc. So you have that entire category and you know what communication to send to them, how to get better, you know, conversions. And search and recommendation is a huge, huge product, I would say, which we continually work to better understand our consumers, to give them customized offerings, right? So if you are in Delhi, you want your chicken curry cut in a certain way, you'll be surprised to know that chicken curry cuts, there are like 7 kinds of chicken curry cuts: big, small, slightly big, medium, etc. Because all of us have chicken in a different way, right? So you also juxtapose category, you juxtapose the product, and you send it to a relevant consumer, and then you actually have better conversions. So all this actually worked in our benefit, I would say, especially during the pandemic, to be able to, you know, drive better conversions.
Okay. Thank you so much. And, you know, something I learned, because I'm a vegetarian, right? That how about that you were talking about the cuts and pieces. And that's what we advise our customers, right? That don't take anything for granted, right? Figure out your consumer insights before you dive into any solutioning, and how to use data, right? And suddenly it's like a huge range of CDP and metaverse and whatever to do shoppable experiences, which I'm sure will help your industry quite a lot, right? Or
Correct. And Sandeep did mention it. I mean, he spoke about conversational commerce, right?
Right.
I think that's really huge, and we need to tap onto this to make your messaging also not very staccato and very personalization is very, very important.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you. So moving on to you, Saurabh, right? Listening to all this and being a part of Adobe, which is like diving well into, I think, experience-based commerce for like last few years. How do you see the trends evolving post-pandemic? And what is your take on the platforms such as Magento can help you know, the businesses and the brands stay ahead or in line of the trends?
First of all, thanks to each one of the panelists for sharing their insights. And, you know, I was listening, it was a very interesting conversation. How I look at the emerging trends in digital commerce is, you know, I strongly believe that any trend or any new innovation that happens around us is bringing us closer to the physical world or the physical models of commerce. If you talk about the business around the globe are using a lot of strategies and innovations and trends such as mixed reality. If you talk about mixed reality, it is all about offering a close to real touch and feel kind of experience in an online world, right? It is more relevant for you know, brands like Kevin Care or Skoda. You know, when, for example, I as a customer might wonder how will a indica hair color would look like on my hair, right? And the solution to this in a physical world is tricky. You know, without applying, I can't know that. but technology provides a very easy solution to it. I can simply, pick up my phone, use that, look at the camera, and I'm done. Similarly, for brands like Skoda, any automobile industry, it could be applied to any jewelry industry as well, where I just wonder, how that product would look like on me, or maybe a specific car model, whether this will fit in my driveway or not. It could be a simple question, a dumb question as well, and where this mixed reality could easily solve that problem for me. So, and we at Adobe have seen this trend being adopted by some of the leading automobile brands as well as jewelry brands. So that is one trend. And similarly, while digital commerce has successfully disrupted the physical commerce model, I as a customer would definitely purchase my weekly or monthly grocery online. But if I need a bread right away in an instant, I would still rely on my neighborhood shop. And that's where Q-commerce, or I would say quick commerce, comes into play, which bridges that gap, right? I could get a product in minutes. We are not talking about days or hours now. We are talking about minutes. And again, this is a trend which is being utilized and by a lot of market leaders. It is very relevant to brands like Fresh to Home, where there is a perishable goods with a shorter shelf life. So, and even for the consumer, right? I am at the kitchen and I now have a mood to cook something for me, and I just need that product quickly. So where I should go, and digital commerce is bridging that gap for me. I can start preparing my meal, I start my process, and while, within 10 minutes, I'll get that product delivered at my doorstep. So we have seen that being, adopted by a lot of brands, food retail brands across India and across globe. Another trend is pluggable commerce. So pluggable commerce is what you can simply plug commerce into any aspect or any customer touch point. So if I talk about a smart watch or a smart speaker, or I would say a Cisco smart bulb as well, why not? I can simply do a voice command and quickly order something for me, right? So, and not just that, this pluggable commerce also enable commerce across other channels as well. So it could be a social commerce, a live stream, medium, a video on demand platform, right? And there is something called conversational commerce, which Sandeep touched upon. Pluggable commerce enables that as well. By intersection between your messaging app and the commerce platform, it very well enables conversational commerce, which is very relevant in BFSI industry, which is very, very relevant in an industry where the purchase cycle is very, very long. The customer might have a lot of questions around the product. The discovery process is very, very long. And as Sandeep rightly said, it has to be a prescriptive, selling. So you need a prescription just like a doctor, gives you, even for investing something. So that prescription is given to you by just by answering some questions, right? What are your symptoms? And I would say, what is my risk appetite? And based on that, the chatbot or the conversational commerce will, prescribe me, okay, this is based on your appetite, this is the right mutual fund for you, this is the right solution for you. So pluggable commerce bridges the third trend, which is pluggable commerce, bridges all these gaps by, first of all, enabling commerce across all touch points, and also, Wanda talked about WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp is a very, very popular medium because most of us are using messaging apps. Now the trend has moved from social networks to messaging apps, and businesses need to be where the customers are. So these are the few trends that I see across industries. The common theme remains same, but obviously there could be specific that changes based on the industry, based on the purchase cycle, based on the product range. And coming to the second part of the question, Karishma, how a platform like Magento plays a role here in enabling this for business. So I would say that I am a very strong believer that any platform should allow businesses to start small. It should allow businesses to innovate faster and then scale as they grow. So, it need not be a big bang approach where I have to start at a scale. Okay. And Adobe Commerce definitely fits that bill, because it certainly drives a lot of value, because it is the most agile, flexible, and open platform that is there, and with the world's largest community of developers and partners. So it has a very important role to play with leading brands across the globe adopting and utilizing Adobe Commerce. It enables businesses to quickly implement technologies like mixed reality or chatbot for conversational commerce by providing out-of-the-box plug-and-play extensions and APIs. And similarly, the quick commerce. If we talk about quick commerce is nothing, not just about for making that delivery faster, but in the background there is a lot of play. For example, it needs a very deep integration with the dark stores, with the retail outlets, real-time payment integrations, real-time logistics integrations. So all of that is again powered by a platform such as Adobe Commerce, which enables those real-time integrations, which enables businesses to have a real-time visibility of your inventory across these channels, be it your dark store, it could be a retail outlet, or any other channel, right?
Cool.
So this is what I believe, and Adobe Commerce enable all these trends very well for the businesses.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Saurabh. So I think if we talked about awareness through SCODA, we talked about the personalization through Nippon Mutual Funds. Then we went on to talk about from FMEG to fast moving consumer goods to meat products on how basically we personalize and change the content, how we basically get the data, integrate the data, use the CDPs, and again, the commerce technologies to deliver seamless commerce experience. Moving on to you, Vanda, again, right? And switching gears to the next part of the consumer journey and stitching together is the customer loyalty, right? So, while some, brands have first mover advantage, but what really sticks and what is extremely important for the consumers of today, because they switch so quickly, is the loyalty part of it, right? So, Vanda, while you explained very well how you are addressing the consumer needs, could you also talk about how are you increasing the loyalty base using technology and ensuring that now that things are changing and things are like opening up, the shopping behavior for your product or your consumer base doesn't change for your category?
Sure, Karishma. I think loyalty in our category is so important because a lot of our products which we sell, except our value-added products, are literally indistinguishable, right? A lot of consumers come to us and say, chicken to chicken hai, so what's different? Why should I buy all? So I think in this category, especially, loyalty is very, very important for two reasons. The first one I've explained to you. The second one is because the frequency of consumption is so high, right? On an average, there are 10 meat, seafood, and poultry buying occasions in a month. So the more closer you are to be the MOUB, which is the most oftenly used brand, the better poised you are to ensure that you're consumed very frequently. And we do this in two ways. The first way is a category way where we now are expanding our range to include a more value-added range. So therefore, it's far more distinguished and therefore consumers bias. The second is we have a very interesting and a very strong program called the Fresh to Home VIP subscription. So what we do is in this program, right, we try to get over the barriers to buy. So the top reasons to buy are, I don't want to pay delivery. Why should I pay, buy of a minimum order to waive off delivery? I'm not sure about the quality, etc., etc. So what we do is basis all this, right? We've thrown in a lot of benefits to actually make this an easier journey. So we have subscription packs right from 1 month to a quarter to a year, which gives you a ton of benefits. So when a consumer, so you have this construct, how do you go about communicating it is, we use our own platforms very, very strongly. While we use CRM platforms like SMS, PNs, and also WhatsApp, we use our own platforms to communicate this very, very interestingly. Once a consumer comes in also, we really delight them because it's a lot of gamification also built into it, right? You have your tiers, you're moving to the next level, you're gathering points, you can redeem it for a lot of more benefits. So in this way, we make it very, very interesting. so that consumers can come and buy it. And what we've seen is, tremendous stickiness. We've seen the cohorts who buy us, they have increased their frequency. They have also increased their, so this also sees results in wallet share, because at the end of the day, if I have a good MAPU, VAPU, and even a DAPU, it realizes in a better wallet share. So my realization is better. Because the program is so interesting, there's a lot of interest in it. It doesn't feel forced and very salu. It's very interesting. We give a lot of freebies also to a lot of our customers. On the next order, we give a lot of interesting things like magnets, knives, aprons, etc., which really build brand love and also advocacy. So I think all in all, we do this to really make our brand stickier.
Thank you, Anda. Very useful information. Talking about the gamification and other technologies, I think auto is, and a lot of brands in auto industry are playing with experience center, call centers, customer calls, creating like a audio visual call center for people or prospective customers to dial in. Tarun, do you want to talk about how do you identify real and your profitable customers? How do you plan to change your content strategy for these customers using technologies? And what is your take on, Skoda adopting to these new technologies for both marketing and experience-based commerce?
When in automotive, you say customers, I look at them in two groups, two large groups. One is my existing customers itself, because Vanda was also talking about loyalty. In our business also, it becomes very important. And our incidences of usage are not days, months, but years. So if you buy a car from me, I expect you to come back to me after 4 or 5 years, not counting the visits to the brand for servicing. So it's very important for us to keep our customers, connected to us and keep the dialogue and communication on with them throughout the ownership cycle. And we do that through something very basic as a contact center, which we have, of course, and also using technology quite actively. So we have a customer ownership app called the My Skoda app, through which it's a single, window to the brand for a customer, right from booking your service to, pulling out your entire service history, to buying accessories, more information that you need. You need to call up our call center. You need to get in touch with us. There are multiple things. There are 30-odd functionalities built into the My Skoda app itself. The whole idea is to make your ownership experience great, in the hope that if you're happy with the ownership experience, you'll come back to me. So I stay in touch with you continuously because I want you back. I want you in the family. And we have a separate program for that. And like Vanda mentioned, we also have certain loyalty benefits for customers who've been with us. That's fine. On the other hand, we have prospects who have not had an experience with the brand. There also, we have a mechanism, a very clear mechanism of grading of who are the hot, warm, cold kind of prospects. And we have, again, usage of technology as well as very basic human touch principles, which are important for us. This is a category where possibly this is the second most expensive purchase you'll do in your life, apart from your home. So the personal touch also becomes very important. So if you go to a dealership, for instance, then apart from all the training that we impart to our people for that warm, feel, there's also a lot of digital tools at our dealerships to make the whole experience very rich. Because cars are so loaded with technology, it's not humanly possible for me to explain those 100, 150 features that are there in the car. And that is where you need technology. And as was mentioned by Saurabh, AR, for instance. Now, if you are interested in buying a car, the car comes in multiple colors. Now, it's not possible, again, to have 5 models and 35 color options in one showroom. It's not possible. Plus, each model comes with variants. How does the interior of one variant differ from another? Mostly it is not possible to physically demonstrate at all times. And that is where technology comes in. That's where AR comes in. So For instance, last year we had that on our Instagram. We have an AR tool built in so that you can visualize the car, in 3D, in the color of your choice, and place it in an environment of your choice. Actually, place yourself in the picture also if you want. So, you can see yourself with the car, because the car for a lot of people is also a statement. It's also an accessory. It's also a very prized purchase, so to say. So
Right.
I'm sure you would like to see yourself with the car. So we do that. So this is how, using a combination of the real world and technology, is how we handhold our customers through this entire buying process. Because in automotive, it's a fairly long buying process also. You don't decide today and buy tomorrow. Sometimes it takes you weeks and months for you to decide. And when it comes to the content you are asking about, content is also personalized for every stage of the buying process you are in. So at the very first stage, I have to introduce myself, the model, to you. And when you start the research, I have to feed you all the information I can about the product itself and the product superiority. Then when you come to closer to the buying decision, then I have to tell you everything about the ownership, which includes finance, insurance, service packages, warranty, and all of that. And once you've bought the car, then I have to inform you about everything that comes post-purchase. That is the after-sales part of it. And then towards the end of your ownership cycle, I have to give you content to bring you back into the fold to buy another car. So that's how we cater to the content needs of our customers.
Thank you so much, Tarun. So moving on to the content needs, right? And I think, Sandeep, you touched briefly upon it, on a very personalized content, right? So quickly, in a couple of minutes, would you want to describe your use of technology for such a personalized, high touch and highly sensitive category? How do you do that, right?
Yeah, so I'll just talk about two use cases quickly. Right, the first one is most of our financial distributors found it very difficult to go and meet a potential investor personally. And as you can imagine, it's a long gestation period purchase. It's a very involved purchase. So physical, discussion before the COVID happened was really the only way this was done. I mean, very rarely would a partner speak to a person on phone. I mean, it was always a personal meeting. And then came pandemic, and of course, you wouldn't want to get out even for shopping your, essentials. So this became obviously something that people avoided very actively. So we quickly put in a personalization solution called Wealth Connections, where we gave a video making platform to our partner and a script, right? So he was reading out a script that was given. I mean, of course, he could make changes to that, but the key points were there on a teleprompter mode. He puts the camera in front of him or her and, record a video. But this was not all. The video also had a bot behind it, which means once that link is sent on WhatsApp or put on social media, sent on email, sent on SMS or WhatsApp, every time the potential investor opened it, our distributor would get a communication saying that so and so has opened it. Karishma has seen this video, 75% of it. And at the end of that video were some questions, are you interested in this product? If yes, what is the kind of investment that you're planning? Do you want to meet me? If you want, which day is convenient to you? So it was actually an appointment scheduler also built into the video, right? So something like that, becomes very, very useful to bridge, the divide that was created by the pandemic. So this is one example. The other example was we used, inspired by Cadbury's, we used geo-targeting for the first time in the BFSI category. So, some of these product explanatory videos were geo-targeted to the pin code of the investor, right? So, if Tarun is an investor in Delhi, in Connaught Place, the video that the potential investor see will have Tarun's picture and mobile number, saying please contact your nearest distributor. But if the same video is seen in, say, Goa, and Vanda is the distributor, you will see her name on that, right? So the personalization was given again very effectively to get our investors meet our partners meet some new investors. So there are multiple ways actually in which you could use personalization. I've spoken about a couple of things like visualization of how your portfolio would have looked if you had invested 5-8 years ago using the real life data. You show somebody a goal and then you actually show them the path to that goal and so on and so forth. So it can become a very, very personalized, kind of an experience, which magnifies, your commitment to the investment plan that is being given to you. It can be done on plain simple Excel, or it could be done using. And so we're now moving towards the virtual reality and so forth, which again makes it very touch and feel, right? So you can see your future house that you would be building in 2035.
Thank you so much.
All those things.
Thanks a lot, Sandeep. So moving on, and in the interest of time, I think just 2 minutes, I think each if we can spend on the next 2-3 very pertinent and important questions. So Raja, talking about you talked about the data and how are you using it. Are there anything that you're using or any initiatives that you have in play for optimizing the market effectiveness across your engagement points, right?
Little complex, business scenario because brands going across various channels. We have, urban, we have rural, and then within urban there is a metro, and then there is a non-metro. Then you take to modern trade, which is a separate channel, and then there is a e-commerce. Within e-commerce, there is a grocery chain. So there is humongous amount of data that flows in, and humongous amount of complexity and harmonization of a brand's effort that needs to be made. So what we do is that we try to manage with a minimal, intersection between these two broadly classified as the channels, right? So these data, the way how you can make effective use of the data is that it starts with how your team is structured, right? The classical mistake, most of the, or at least, some of the companies which, I have interacted with, I have worked with, is that they all evolve from a traditional business model. When you evolve from a traditional business model, embracing a new business model or embracing a new channel takes a little bit of time. So, but what we have done internally is that Kevin Can has gone itself, rewired itself into the consumer requirement, which is consumer is shopping in offline, consumer is going shopping in online, consumer is shopping in urban, rural. We reclassify our own team into these kind of buckets. And then so the individual team works on this and then it converges at the top, to bring in some kind of commonality at a functional head level. So that is the first thing which is very important, which is a slightly largest exercise, but we felt that is critical. So from that perspective, if you see the moment you see from that, from this kind of, channel specific management, then everything flows into place. People get data, an offline team talks about communication, it talks about brand track, talks about, how am I improving my, expectation of the consumer. The more you go into online, the more you go into professional service, the team does not talk so much about, brand track, but they talk about nimble-footedness, right? How we can move faster, how can we, get the latest trend out into the market, and how can we build the consumer experience better. So, though the parameters, could be to a large extent, you may say that it is similar parameters, but the weightage on each, changes across the channels. So accordingly, that data is flows to the funnel, and then we take decisions and move on. But to a large extent, these channels have their own independent decision-making bodies. So they move on, and then that gets pulled in at the top, saying that there is one person who moderates all these decisions across a particular brand. So that works better for us. That's how we assimilate data, and that's how we assimilate action.
Thank you so much, Amit. Very helpful for multi-product, multi-brand. Amit, moving on to you. In 2 minutes, could you describe, and sorry, since we're running at the top of the hour, I was like just about to time, maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes, if you could describe, how is it that, and Cisca is using a lot of technologies to get in front of the consumers, to kind of talk about the contactless in your industry, if I may say so. So if you could just talk about what is it that you're doing, quickly touching upon how are you using technology, I think that would be helpful.
So basically, collecting the digital footprints is the biggest challenge in this kind of category that I mentioned to you earlier. However, we are doing our bits in terms of, bringing that experience-driven, sort of commerce in the category by using neuro-tagging, geo-targeting, even the app interface inside, right, which was only used for initially the lighting products. Now it is, scaled for the entire small home appliances category as well, just to give you more cohesive sort of experience. In fact, we are working on the very AI algorithm, which will actually really help you to understand the actual or the required lumens, for your area. This is the input of your number of rooms, the placement, the usage, the area, etc. So that not only you will get to understand how much of energy you can save, but also money, right? That's one. Secondly, we are also exploring the possibility of creating the interface for the personal care grooming appliances users, wherein they can give the AR input of their face contour, and then basis that we can suggest the best beard and mustache styles and how to achieve that style with the help of right cut trimmers, which they can buy from the platform once again. I think that is the shortest and the fastest answer.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Amit. Saurabh, sorry, just about 45 seconds. You want to wrap up on any other things that you see working across the industries before we wrap up?
Yeah, so it is not any other thing, but what I would say is, while the specifics will change across the industry, the common theme remains same, right? And that we have seen today as well. At Adobe, what we have seen, businesses across industries are doing the same, those 4 or 5 key areas. It is all about creating a better customer experience throughout the entire purchase journey. So, starting from the intuitive discovery of products and services, and so that the customer gets what he's seeking and not what he's searching. Similarly, localizing and personalizing, the products and services based on his taste and preferences. So it is all about, be it a meat product or a Cisco LED light or a automobile or a financial product or a FMCG, right? It is all about personalization and all about getting more and more data from the customer. So stitching the customer intelligence, customer behavior, and also stitching the commerce intelligence, So all that data unification is something which companies and businesses across are, implementing. Another important trend that I've seen, especially post pandemic, which is a multi-model strategy. So implementing D2C, B2C, B2B, and hybrid marketplaces, all models, so to increase not just the revenue but also the scale of the business.
Cool.
So these are the few trends that I've seen, Karishma.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. Sorry, I think we're at the top of the hour, and before we lose participants, I think we'll wrap it up, and maybe we should have a follow-on if participants are interested. But thank you, everyone. I think each and every one of you added a lot more meat to what we do at Experience-Based Commerce, and how do we do across the journey points, how do we across all the touch points and the channels, how do we create a seamless experience? We can go into talking about from the technology to the experience to the business, because eventually everything needs to add up. And I think one thing we typically forget is the customer service, because believe it or not, if the customer service is not good, most likely the consumers are going to drop out, and that's going to impact the reality, right? So with that, I think I would just like to wrap up. Thanks again, everyone, for a very insightful conversation, and have a great day.